We're now joined by Zach Gelb, Infinity Sports Network. Zach, thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it. What from the college weekend stood out the most from you? Was it Bama, Georgia? Was it Ole Miss beating LSU? What was it? Oregon, Penn State, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, it was lovely. Another Penn State special where 110,000 fans, right? You finally got the nighttime whiteout, and then you're down 17-3, and then in the fourth quarter, they're coming on back, and it's finally a moment for James Franklin and Drew Aller. And then in the double overtime, Drew Aller throws the interception. Dan Lanning, I'll tell you, if he wins a national championship this year, he will be the face of college football, and he would be the perfect guy to be the face of college football as a head coach with a personality. I once called him a football psycho on the sideline, and I mean that in a positive way. But the last thing for the Ducks to do now, 2 years ago, they were losing to Kalen DeBoer and Washington, but they had a good run. And then last year, obviously, they were undefeated in the regular season, won the Big Ten championship, first year of the Big Ten. But then they fell flat in their faces coming off the bye up against the eventual national champion, Ohio State. That's a team that's definitely championship or bust. So definitely Oregon beating Penn State stood out. I like the toughness from Alabama. Good fourth down stop late in that fourth quarter up against Kirby Smart and Georgia when they were hurrying up trying to get for it. When Georgia could have kicked the field goal to tie the game. Like what I saw at Trinidad Chambliss with Ole Miss the last few weeks. And also, I know that it's only Auburn, but I did like A&M with their two wide receivers. You have Marcel Reed. I know it's not the most, best performance from him offensively. Le'Veon Moss is good, but that defense is doing a good job right now. I'm starting to become a fan of A&M this football season.
Are we at the point with Hugh Freeze where Auburn has to start asking themselves, was this really the thing that we should have done? Because their offense, especially as they've gotten into the SEC against Oklahoma and against A&M, couldn't pee a drop.
Right? That game against Baylor was a long time ago now. And I know that they kept it close up against Oklahoma. I know they kept it close last week. But this guy was supposed to be sensational, obviously, coming on back in the SEC on the offensive side of the ball. I was not a huge fan of the hire. I thought he was a dead man walking this year. It does feel like ever since that Auburn got rid of Gus Malzahn, they have just not been able to find the right guy, and I do not think that Hugh Freeze is the right guy. I think you should go with the younger football coach. I thought 2 years ago they should have hired Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, get a little excitement going there. I don't know if that's the right hire right now. If you maybe get a Will Stein from Oregon, you get Glenn Schumann from Georgia, that would be interesting. But I think they got to go younger and get someone in there that obviously is going to turn this thing around, because Auburn the last few years has been a rough watch.
How much do you love a matchup like an Alabama-Georgia last weekend where there's just talent galore and obviously the prestige and the history and just a heavyweight fight, the likes of which we got last weekend?
Loved it. I would have liked a little bit more fireworks in the second half, but you get a 3-point game like that, and I love the toughness that you saw from Ty Simpson, and that's the biggest difference with Alabama last year to this year. And I know week one was ugly up against Florida State, and it was really ugly. But Jalen Milroe, it was either all or nothing. I thought Ty Simpson got a little unfairly criticized in the Florida State game, and that was more with the others on the team. This guy's a good quarterback, and I don't think he's going to have a lot of stinkers like what you saw with Jalen Milroe a year ago. And now, if you want people, it's weird to say that for Vanderbilt is the measuring stick for people to be really back in Alabama, because last year they did beat Georgia, and the following week they lost to Vanderbilt. If you beat Vanderbilt, it's okay. This team, not only were they able to replicate what they did up against Georgia a year ago, but then they took it the next step. I had Danny Cannell on today. He thinks Alabama. He told me this straight up. He says he thinks Alabama's the best team in the SEC.
Well, and that brings me to my question. They always have had what you consider like alpha. Georgia, Texas, maybe last year, and then, of course, Alabama many, many, many years along with them. Georgia joins it, or LSU. Do they have a great team, at least right now, with a lot of games to be played at this point in the SEC?
I don't know if there's a great team. Just forget the SEC. I don't know if there's a great team in college football. Okay. And I felt that way going into the season. I've said this with you guys before. Even last year, I didn't think there was a great team. The days of having undefeated LSU, early 2000s Miami, early 2000s Ohio State, even a few years ago with Michigan, I think those days are kind of over. And there's going to now be some losses in the regular season. But that defense at Alabama is damn special. I know Ryan Williams is having a little problem holding on to the football, but he's a great young wide receiver. I think Ty Simpson is the real deal. You get the running backs back. I think this team, I picked them before the year to win the national championship. I still think that they're capable of going on a run and being one of the final 4 teams remaining.
Miami and Florida State this week. First time in 20 years, Zach, these teams have been good at the same time. We maybe don't know as much, but this is going to be very I think it'll be more telling for FSU than it will be for Miami, even if Miami loses the game.
You know what? I don't know how I'm going to pick this game, but wouldn't it be such college football? Florida State, they lose to Virginia last week in the craziest field storm I've ever seen. I was talking to Tony Elliott actually about that yesterday on my show. And now everyone's down on Florida State. Miami, right? Carson Beck, he's back. Mario Cristobal finally getting to work at his school in Miami. Look at the talent at Miami. Look at the defense. Wouldn't it just be I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it would just be very college football for Florida State to lose the game last week. Not that the air is out of the balloon, but some of the air comes out of the balloon, and then they find a way to beat Miami. It would just be very college football the way that I've watched college football in my lifetime.
Last time both were ranked was 2016 at the same time.
I was just graduating college at Temple University.
There you go. It was number 23 against number 10. But, boy, they set the tone for the season back a long, long time ago. Zach, what are your thoughts about an NFL game and a 40-40 tie?
All right. So I'm doing some games this year for the Cowboys and the Compass Media Networks, and I was doing that game. I do not think an NFL game should ever end in a tie. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's a disservice to the fans. I think it's a disservice to the players. I think it's a disservice to the coaches. And here's what I don't get. I don't want college overtime in the postseason. In the regular season, though, we can't adopt something similar to college overtime. The kickoff, too. Everyone bitches and complains, right? Oh, they changed the kickoff because of player safety. Baloney. It was just one of the things that they did to make it appear like the NFL actually gives a rat's ass about player safety. It's always the bottom line with the NFL. Then the NFL gets annoyed. Oh, not enough kickoff returns. And now we have to have this new format, which I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Just let's go back to how the kickoff always was or how the kickoffs are done in college. So those are the two things from the college game that I think the NFL could adapt. Regular season only, so we never get a tie. College overtime. And then also do the kickoffs how they're done in college.
I just was stunned, and I knew about the new overtime, but if you have the opening possession and take 7-8 minutes off the clock, which is almost what happened, field goal or not, I mean, you get the ball back and you want the ball second because you want to know what you need to do, but maybe
you know what?
Anymore.
I disagree, though.
All right.
In the Super Bowl, I would want the ball second, right? In the playoffs, I want the ball second because the clock doesn't matter.
That's right. Okay.
In this version of overtime, and I said it to the producers while it was happening. I said, oh, that's interesting. They took the ball second. I go, what did you want at first? And one of the producers said, oh, well, remember about what happened in the Super Bowl. I go, yeah, but I think the clock matters here. I don't think it matters in the postseason. So I would rather have the ball first because, like you're saying, you take 7-8 minutes off the clock. Mm-hmm. The other team, it doesn't matter what the down is. They're fighting the 2-minute drive.
Well, and I'm not so sure that Jordan Love realized that there was not another that could have been it.
I don't think that was Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love's opus, that overtime drive that they got. I mean, starting out by, like you said, taking the ball second and hoping that your defense, who hadn't stopped the Cowboys all night, is just going to get a 3-and-out and have all this time to do that. And then at the end of it, like it feels like nobody said in his ear, like, hey, Jordan, we got to go. We got to go. Plus, why they were working the outsides when the Cowboys are nothing.
Was stupid.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm sitting there, and I want a result, right? I want a win or a loss. A tie to me is not I'm not a soccer fan, all right? I don't think that's breaking news to anybody here. I remember watching USA and England in the World Cup or whatever it was years ago when the ball went through Rob Green's legs. And all my friends, right, were going nuts, and then the game ended in a tie. And I know it's soccer snobs, why the tie's important with the points and all that, but I invested all that time for a freaking tie. I know it doesn't make sense in terms of the standings. I'd rather lose than tie. Ties to me are a complete waste of time. I play a sport, I watch a sport to win or lose, not to tie. I'd rather lose than tie, even though I understand from the standing standpoint. But it was a giant waste of everybody's time.
Zach, great to see you, my friend. Mets, of course, you're not going to any playoff games with them, are you?
No, we suck.
Sorry to bring it up.
God.
Oh, my, what a just.
It was terrible, disgraceful, disgusting, just an embarrassment. And I never thought anything would be worse in my lifetime than 2007 when they were up 7 games with 17 to play and they blew that. This was worse because there's more wild card spots and they were 22 games over 500 at one point this season. Embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you, buddy. Good to see you. Infinity Sports Network on Wednesday. Zach Gelb with us.